The Peak District. Created in 1951, it was the first national park in the United Kingdom. On today's journey, I will be in its heart, exploring the Monsal Trail, a disused railway line closed in 1968. Due to the beaching cuts in the 1960s, thousands of miles of railway tracks across Britain were lost, the Monsal Trail being 8.5 of them. But because of this, you can now enjoy traffic-free walking, cycling and horse riding, taking in some of the most picturesque scenery, dramatic architecture and intriguing history this country has to offer. The route we'll be taking starts in Bakewell. Along the way, we'll be passing through the villages of Hassop and Great Longston. We'll then get to the Headstone Tunnel, the longest of the 6 tunnels on the Monsal Trail. The light at the end of the tunnel draws you out onto the Headstone Viaduct, giving you amazing views of the Monsal Dale Valley. Next, we'll get to the villages of Crestbrook and Lisson. We'll look at how the railway was the catalyst for the textile industry in this area. We will then move on to Miller's Dale, passing the old lime kilns, which once served the local limestone industry. We'll then head to our final stop, Blackwell Mill, where the trains would either go west to Buxton or north to Manchester. I'm here in Bakewell at the old train station, which is the start of the Monsal Trail. Built in 1862, it was busy and bustling in its heyday, transporting locals, tourists and freight to and from London St Pancras station, a 2.5-hour train journey down that way, and Manchester Piccadilly, a 45-minute journey down that way, which is the way we are heading today. There are many different ways to explore and enjoy the trail, with bike rentals available at both Hassop Station, which is a 10-minute walk from Bakewell, or at Blackwell Mill at the other end of the trail. Other activities, such as abseiling and climbing, can also be arranged. This building that you can see behind me was once the train station that served the people of Great Longston. This building up here was also a station, but this was private. It belonged to George Jobson Marples, who owned Thornbridge Estate, a large country house that sits just behind this building. He didn't really fancy getting the train with the common folk down there in Great Longston, so he built his own station, which is pretty much the modern day equivalent of having your own private jet. The Monsal Trail was reopened as a public footpath in 1981, 13 years after its closure. Work was done in 2011 to open all the tunnels, resurface the paths and make the trail more accessible. Work began here in 1860 at the Headstone Tunnel, where engineers were left with no other option but to blast through the rock to link the line to Manchester and Buxton. Gunpowder was used to blast through the rock, whilst men followed with simple tools, chipping away at it. It was completed in 1862 and is 490 metres long, making it the longest tunnel on the Monsal Trail. The trail has become much more popular since the old railway tunnels have been restored and reopened. Visitors no longer need to make the long, unnecessary detours from the track to avoid the once blocked off tunnels. From one great engineering accomplishment to another, we are now at the Headstone Viaduct, where 100 years ago passengers would have come thundering out of the tunnel to be greeted with spectacular views of the Monsal Dale. The viaduct stands 24 metres above the River Wye and stretches across 101 metres. It was built by William Henry Barlow in 1963 and was met with mixed feelings from the local people, especially John Ruskin, a local poet at the time. He famously quoted, "The valley is gone, and now every fool in Buxton can be in Bakewell in an hour and a half, and every fool at Bakewell in Buxton." Following the line a little further, we find ourselves at the village of Crestbrook. This would once have been a busy stop on the train line catering to Cressbrook Cotton Mill. Surrounding the mill are several mill houses, built to accommodate the hundreds of orphans who were brought here from London. These orphans worked in terrible conditions during their apprenticeships, and it is said that these conditions actually gave inspiration to Charles Dickens' Oliver Twist. Not far from Cressbrook Mill, we're at a second mill here in Lytton. It is clear that 100 years ago, this area was an industrial hotspot, and yet today, are sleepy locations where tourists come to visit to get away from the hustle and bustle of their everyday lives. It is no secret that industry holds a strong theme along the Monsal Trail. A short walk from the historical mills of Cressbrook and Lytton, we find ourselves at Millersdale. This was once Millersdale Station, the biggest station on the line. The reason this station was so important was because people changed trains here between Manchester and Buxton. It was also used to transport large quantities of freight, like quicklime, which was produced in the local lime kilns. Further down the trail, we find ourselves looking upon the remains of a lime kiln. Beneath my feet is limestone. The railway line once took advantage of this and brought in coal by train to burn the limestone to make quicklime. The quicklime was then taken away to be used in the steel, chemical and agricultural industries. We have now arrived at Blackwell Mill, our final stop. This used to be known as Topley Pike Junction, and the trains would pass through to London, Buxton and Manchester. The route that the railway carved through this area provided transport and industry for many people. Today it gives us an accessible route to discover the spectacular Peak District countryside, and we will hope that it carries on doing this for many years to come.